Welcome. We're about to dive into a really foundational practice for presence-driven leadership. It's called the thought audit, and it's all about how you can take back control of the internal script that's, well, secretly running your life.
So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to talk about the problem, what it means to live on autopilot. Then, we'll define the solution, the thought audit itself. After that, we'll get practical and walk through the daily practice step by step. Then we'll zoom out to see how to spot those deeper patterns, and finally, we'll tie it all together to see how this makes you the true architect of your world. All right, first things first. Before we can change anything, we have to recognize what we're up against. We need to really understand this invisible force that so often governs our days without us even noticing.
So let's just start right here with a simple moment of self-inquiry. I want you to ask yourself honestly, are you living on autopilot? Are you really present and making conscious choices, or is some old programming just running the show? This question right here is the key that unlocks this entire practice.
So what is this thing we're trying to escape? Well, we like to call it the autopilot villain. And let's be clear, this isn't some personal flaw or weakness. It's just a program running in the background. It's this invisible code made up of old mental habits that are dictating your thoughts and actions, all without your active consent.
Okay, now that we've diagnosed the problem, let's talk about the prescription. This isn't just a vague idea. It's a specific foundational practice designed to help you build your internal authority and, take back the controls.
And that prescription is the thought audit. The easiest way to think about it is this. It's a daily practice where you take all those fuzzy, abstract feelings and mental patterns and you turn them into concrete, observable data. The whole point is to shift you from a place of unconscious reaction to one of conscious creation.
And it's really important to get this. This isn't some complicated, advanced technique you do later. No way. This is the starting block. It's the foundational tool you learn in week 1 of the neuroalignment method. And it's all about building that initial awareness and resetting your entire system.
All right, let's get into the nitty-gritty. This is the heart of our masterclass, where we're going to walk through the exact how-to of this daily practice, the regimen for really building your discernment.
So your daily audit is going to follow this really clean 4-part structure. First, you set your intention for the day with today's script. Then, throughout the day, you log the moments you catch the old programming in action. Next, and this is key, you write down how you applied your new script. And you wrap it up with a daily reflection. See, this structure makes sure you're actually analyzing what's going on, not just venting. Now, to actually fill out that journal, you're going to use this simple but incredibly powerful 3-step process in your mind all day long. It's simple. First, you catch the thought. Second, you trace its origin. And third, you do a targeted replacement. Okay, so step 1 is all about observation. That's it. When you feel that shift in your mood or you feel a little spike in stress, your only job is to pause and catch the program as it's running. You have to ask, what is the literal sentence going through my mind right now? Now, the mindset here is absolutely critical. You have to be a neutral observer. You're gathering data, not judgment. This is not about beating yourself up for having the thought. It's just about objectively looking at your own mental furniture to see what's actually there.
So once you've caught a thought that keeps popping up, step 2 is the diagnostic phase. You ask yourself, okay, where did this belief actually come from? Did you pick it up from a parent, a teacher? Is it some cultural message you absorbed? Doing this helps you separate your true identity from that old programming you kind of signed up for without realizing it.
And finally, step 3, targeted replacement. Now, the goal here is not to fight the thought. You don't try to suppress it with willpower, because honestly, that almost never works. Instead, you consciously and very deliberately flip the script. And this is a perfect example of that flip in action. You catch that old bit of code, that thought that says, I'm a mess, and you immediately, consciously, replace it with an aligned truth. Something like, I am organizing my life one step at a time. It's an active choice, not a passive reaction. So after you've been tracking your thoughts every day, we zoom out. The next step is the weekly practice. This is where we shift our perspective from the daily details to spotting the larger, more stubborn patterns that might be running the show. At the end of each week, you're going to look back at all the data you've gathered. Your job is to find the 3 to 5 most common negative themes. And then you'll conduct something we call the no inventory, which is designed to find the very root of that invisible code. And that no inventory really boils down to this one very powerful question. What's the most common no you still carry with you from your childhood?
Was it don't be so loud, or don't make mistakes, or don't be difficult? Identifying that helps you find the original source of so much of the autopilot programming you're dealing with today.
Okay, finally, let's bring this all home. Let's connect this daily and weekly practice back to the ultimate goal. Because this isn't just about tracking thoughts, right? It's about integrating this awareness to create real, lasting transformation.
And this really gets to the heart of the profound shift that happens when you stick with this. By consistently doing the thought audit, you literally go from being a hostage of your own autopilot to becoming the deliberate architect of your internal world.
And that awareness, it's everything. It's the foundation. This practice creates the space, that fertile ground you need to consciously install new, more aligned beliefs. It's how you begin to truly exercise your own internal authority.
So we'll leave you with this question, because the whole point is to turn this from just information into your own personal, ongoing practice. The audit has shown you the old programming. The only question that really matters now is, what new code will you write today?